All right, ready to dive in. Today, we're exploring the Assort team.
Oh, I love these guys.
They're a Hungarian robotics team, but with a twist.
Yeah, they're not your typical robot-obsessed crew.
They have this passion for building that goes way beyond circuits and wires.
It's more like they're thinkers and builders first.
And today's project, a Talharpa.
Oh, what?
Yeah, it's a traditional Scandinavian instrument.
Yeah, got it.
You know, the kind you might picture a Viking bard rocking out on.
Oh, cool.
We've got their instructable on how they built one, and let me tell you,
I bet it's detailed.
it is. And these robotics whizzes weren't afraid to get their hands dirty with some woodworking.
That's what I love about them.
It's like they're saying, we can build robots, sure, but what about music?
Exactly. And not just listening.
They wanted to craft the instrument itself.
I'm impressed.
So before we get into the nitty-gritty of their build,
Let's set the stage.
yeah, who is the Assort team?
Well, they've been around since 2008.
Wow, that's wild.
Yeah, and they've been racking up wins in robotics competitions, even co-founded Hungary's largest robot building community.
No kidding.
And get this, they built a VR telepresence research platform.
Whoa, that's some serious tech.
Right. Their robotics background is undeniable.
But it's their drive to be more than just specialists that sets them apart.
Exactly. They don't want to be pigeonholed.
Thinkers and builders first, always pushing boundaries.
That's where the Talharpa comes in.
So, for those of us who don't know,
What exactly is a Talharpa?
yeah, break it down for us.
Picture a bowed lyre often associated with Viking culture.
Okay, starting to get it.
It's got this wooden body, horsehair strings, and this haunting sound.
Very atmospheric.
Oh, and there's a cool historical tidbit about them.
I love historical tidbits.
It's about the Shetland Islands, north of Scotland.
Oh, okay.
So despite the Talharpa being linked to Viking culture, there's no archaeological evidence of them in Shetland.
Kind of strange.
But there's this one Viking Age carving that hints at its presence way back then.
A clue.
And get this, people kept playing the Talharpa there until the 19th century.
Wow, so even without a ton of physical evidence,
The music and tradition carried on.
it's like the music itself became the artifact.
Exactly, passed down through generations.
Powerful stuff.
Okay, so now let's get to the Assort team's version.
They built a custom-based Talharpa
And documented the whole thing.
in an instructable.
It's amazing, they're so transparent.
They weren't afraid to share, even though this was their first attempt at building a stringed instrument.
That says a lot about them.
For sure. Okay, so they used pine wood for the body.
And hardwood for the parts touching the strings.
They even used cello strings, tuned to a 44 scale.
And the whole thing is a meter tall.
Seriously impressive for a first try.
Right, and they didn't have some fancy workshop.
They used basic tools and materials.
Showing that you don't need a ton of expensive equipment to create.
All right, let's walk through some key steps from their instructable.
Sounds good.
They start by cutting and shaping the wood planks.
Which takes some serious precision.
Like a surgeon.
But also patience and that willingness to learn as you go.
They even admit they weren't always sure if they were using the best materials.
Hold on, these guys build robots that compete internationally,
Yeah.
and they're not sure about the best wood for an instrument.
Uh-huh, I know, right?
But that's the beauty of it,
They approach this with humility.
recognizing they were out of your comfort zone.
And that's a lesson for everyone, no matter your skill level.
There's always more to learn.
Absolutely. So they're cutting the wood. What's next?
They created cutouts for the sound hole,
Ah, of course.
and they decorated them with the triple horn of Odin.
What's that?
It's this cool three-pronged symbol, Norse mythology.
Very Viking.
Yeah, it gives the instrument some serious cred.
I love it. So basic shape, sound hole. What about the inside?
That's where it gets really interesting.
Lay it on me.
They carefully placed a sound post inside for resonance.
A sound post?
Yeah, it's like, you know how a violin has that rich sound? The sound post helps create that same resonance in the Talharpa.
Wow, I never knew so much went into something so small.
It's like the heart of the instrument.
Making sure the sound vibrates just right?
Exactly. Shows their attention to detail.
They weren't just messing around.
So after the sound post comes the tailpiece and bridge.
To hold the strings.
Right. Then the tuning pegs, they had to install and adjust those.
Sounds fiddly.
It is. They even chamfered the edges, smoothed and shaped them.
For a polished look.
Exactly. It's all about those little details.
Yeah, they went all out.
And get this, they even say they might build another one in the future.
They're not done yet.
Nope. They're open to suggestions, feedback,
That's a sign of a true learner.
always wanting to improve.
So we've got this robotics team venturing into traditional instruments.
What does this tell us about their approach to creativity?
It's fascinating.
They approach every project with the same curiosity.
Whether it's a complex robot or a handcrafted instrument.
And they're not afraid to step outside their comfort zone.
So do you think this reflects something bigger?
Maybe a trend in the maker community?
That's a great question, and one we'll dig into next time.
So stay tuned.
We'll be back with more on the Assort team and their amazing Talharpa.
Can't wait. Welcome back. You were asking if the Assort team's project, the Talharpa, reflects something bigger.
Yeah, it just got me thinking.
It's a good question.
Bringing together high-tech skills and traditional craft, is it a bigger trend?
I think so, yeah.
Like a movement or shift in how we view making things?
Absolutely. There's this resurgence of interest in handmade stuff, DIY, going back to basics.
It's not just nostalgia, right?
No, it's deeper than that.
It's like craving a connection to the things we use.
Yeah, understanding how things are made.
A pushback against mass-produced, disposable culture.
Exactly. And technology makes it even more interesting.
How so?
Well, think about it. Technology is becoming more accessible.
Sure.
So we're seeing this fusion of old and new.
Like what? Give me an example.
3D printing, but to make designs inspired by ancient artifacts.
Oh.
Or laser cutting, but combined with traditional woodworking.
That's awesome.
And the Assort team, they mentioned something in their Instructable.
What's that? They
weren't sure if they'd use the best materials for their Talharpa.
Huh. Interesting.
And they were open to suggestions. That's key.
You mean that open source collaborative spirit?
Exactly. Sharing knowledge, techniques, it's all part of it.
Makes sense.
Online platforms, they're hubs for this exchange of ideas.
Like Instructables, GitHub, those kinds of things.
Exactly. It's a global community.
So the Assort team, they're not just doing a cool side project.
Right.
They're embodying this whole trend of blending tech skills, DIY, willingness to learn.
It's like a microcosm of what's happening in the maker world.
It really is. Makes you wonder what other creations might come from this.
Combining traditional crafts and modern technology, who knows what's possible?
I mean, who would guess a robotics team would build a Viking instrument?
It shows that innovation can come from anywhere.
And it reminds us that creativity isn't confined to one area.
The Assort team, they're not just roboticists.
They're problem solvers, innovators, musicians even.
They're not limiting themselves.
Driven by curiosity, a desire to create.
And that's powerful no matter what you're into.
It makes you wonder what talents we all have hidden inside.
Maybe there's a blacksmith and a software engineer, or a woodcarver and a data analyst.
The possibilities are endless.
It's inspiring, right?
Totally. It reminds us that we all have the potential.
To create, innovate, contribute.
But it's not just about finding those talents.
It's about having the courage to use them.
So what's the takeaway for our listener?
What can they learn from this?
What's the so what of it all?
Maybe it's a little nudge, to explore their own creativity.
Look beyond the familiar. Embrace the unknown.
Seek out communities, resources, anything that fosters that thinking and building mindset.
Or maybe it's just a reminder that innovation can come from anywhere.
From unexpected sources, from stepping outside our comfort zones.
That beginner's mindset, it's powerful. As we wrap up this deep dive, I can't help but wonder what's next for the Assort team.
It's hard to say, isn't it?
They blend cutting-edge tech with this passion for traditional crafts.
It's a unique combination.
What other rabbit holes will they dive down,
It's tough to predict, and that's what makes them so interesting.
They thrive on challenges.
Always venturing into uncharted territory.
Like explorers, always seeking new horizons.
Exactly.
It's almost like they embody that Renaissance person ideal.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Broad interests, diverse skills, always thirsty for knowledge.
It's inspiring to see.
Especially in a world that often pushes us towards specialization.
You're right. It's like a counter-narrative.
We're told to focus on one narrow field.
But the Assort team, they remind us it's okay to be curious about a lot of things.
That wide-ranging curiosity, maybe that's the key to innovation.
I think you're onto something.
Sometimes the best solutions come from connecting unrelated ideas.
Bringing different perspectives to the table.
Who knows? Maybe building a Talharpa will inspire their robotics work.
You never know.
Maybe they'll incorporate new materials, new techniques.
It's possible.
Or maybe it'll lead them down a completely different path.
Exploring other forms of art, expression, who knows?
Imagine 3D printing ancient instruments.
That would be wild.
Or a robot that can play the Talharpa.
Now that's an idea.
It shows that combining passion with that thinker and builder mentality, The possibilities are endless.
It's not just about robotics or music.
It's a message for everyone.
About embracing curiosity.
Challenging assumptions.
Approaching problems with a fresh perspective.
It's about remembering that innovation can come from anywhere.
Sometimes the best way forward is to look back.
Connect with traditions, the things that shaped our world.
Beautifully put.
For anyone wanting to see more of the Assort team's work,
We'll have links in the show notes.
their Instructable, their website, all that good stuff.
You can check out the Talharpa build.
Learn about their other amazing projects.
They even provide the schematics for their Talharpa.
Encourage others to build their own.
That's so cool.
A testament to their commitment to sharing knowledge.
Fostering that creative spirit.
It's been a fascinating journey, hasn't it?
It really has.
From robotics to Viking instruments.
Exploring trends in creativity and innovation.
It's left me feeling inspired.
Me too.
Eager to see what other creations come from this blend of tradition and technology.
What about you?
Absolutely. It makes you realize the only limit is our imagination.
So to our listeners, explore the links, discover the world of the Assort team,
Maybe their story will inspire you.
dust off that old hobby, pick up a new skill.
Approach your next challenge with a fresh perspective.
Who knows what you might create?
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Until next time.
Keep exploring, keep learning.